started in elementary school. Okay, you started talking about these type of statistics. They're the most easy statistics that you did. There were 3 of them. Okay, if you add the sum of all the numbers, if you add a bunch of data and you add it all up and divide by how many they are, what is that called? The average. What's another word for average? What? Mean, yes, the mean. Okay, mean is just the average though. Okay, it's just another word for average. All right, the middle number in a set of data when the numbers are all in numerical order is the what?
Median.
Median. Just like when you drive. Just like when you drive, medians are in the middle of the road. Okay, if there are 2 middle numbers, you find the mean between those 2. Okay, and then the number that appears the most is the mode.
So what is range?
Range is your largest number minus your smallest number.
Oh, okay.
So, just so you know, we're going to do all of this in the calculator today. Okay. The only thing the calculator won't do the mode. It doesn't tell you which one occurs the most. Okay. But the good thing about the calculator is they don't have to be in order. You can put them in however they're written, and it will tell you the mean and the median from that. Okay. It will do that for you. All right. So we want to find the median here. So here's what I need you to do. We have a set of data. So where do you think we're going to go? Stat, okay? Now, everything, we only have one set of data, so everything's going to go in L1. Okay, now, usually we would hit stat calc 4. If you were to hit stat calc 4, it's going to give you some error because it doesn't have 2 sets of data, y'all. Okay, so we're not going to hit stat calc 4. We're going to hit stat calc, and yes, enter on 1. Okay, and just keep hitting enter. And you're going to see a whole bunch of numbers. Okay, here's what you need to know. Pay attention up here. Here's what you need to know. Right here, that number at the top, the X with the bar over it, this is the mean. X with the bar, that is your mean. Okay, it asks for the median. Okay, do you see this arrow right here?
Yeah.
Keep scrolling. That means hit the down arrow.
Wait. Oh, it's 2. Oh,
4. The median, which is MED, is 4. Okay? Now, I will say this. Today, for our lesson in histograms, this is what you're going to need, is this min x to max x. You're going to need, that's called our 5-number summary. Okay? That's the 5 numbers that we're going to need the most today. But yes, up here, n is how many numbers there are in your data set. This little circle with a hat, that's your standard deviation. And then if you keep going up, we go to the mean. Those are the only things we care about. Okay? So our median here was, what did we say? 4? Okay. All right, next problem. What is the mode? Okay, do we need to put it into stat to find the mode? No, remember I just said mode, the calculator won't do mode. Okay, so let's look at what appears more than once. 74, we've got 1, 2, 3 of them, right? Does anything appear more than 3 times?
No.
I don't see anything else, so our mode is 74. Okay?
Wait, 81 appears twice, doesn't it?
Right, but it's got to appear more than 3 times for it to be. Yeah. Okay? All right, now, this right here is one of my favorite problems in math because every year towards the end of the semester, kids always say to me, Miss Johnson, what do I need to make on my EOC in order to pass your class? Or what do I need to make on my EOC to keep a B or an A or whatever? Okay? And I'm like, well, you figure it out. What do you mean? I don't figure it out. I don't know how to figure it out. But you do. Okay? Because you know the percentages. You should. Okay? And all that. Okay? So, this is what we got. All right? You've got 5 tests that you've taken, and you're going to take a 6th one. Okay? And then you want your average to be a 90. Okay, what do you think I need to do with those 5 tests that I've already taken? Add them up. Not yet. Don't add them yet. Don't divide yet. Add them up for me. All right, what you got when you added 82, 96, 92, 83, and 91? 444? Okay. Listen, 444. Okay. Plus, do you know your sixth test score? No. So plus something we don't know. Okay. Now divided by how many would there be? 6, right? 5 that you added plus the one you don't know, and we want that number to equal 90%. All right, yep, first step is to multiply. 6 times 90 is going to give me 540.
So it would be 6.
And then we're going to subtract.
It'll be 96.
All right, so in order for her to have a 90 test average, she needed to score a 96 on her last test. Now, this is why I like this problem, because so often y'all are like, on your final grade, like your final quarter grade, you couldn't just give me 3 points? Do you have any idea what you would have had to score on stuff to get 3 total points on your final grade?
Like a lot.
A lot, yes. Like these are not really bad test scores right here. I mean, the lowest one she's got is an 82, and a 90 is not far from that. Okay? But she's got to score a 96. Okay, and I'm going to be honest with you, some people, this is how this goes when I have this conversation. People are like, Miss Johnson, what do I need to score on my EOC to pass your class? Sweetheart, they don't make this number to happen. Ain't gonna happen. Okay? I mean, and then there are people that, what do I need to score on your EOC to pass your class? And I can say, sweetheart, you could not show up and take a 0, and you'd still pass. You wouldn't pass with the A that you've had all year, but you'd still pass. Okay? So, I mean, there are people in both boats. I got people that it does not matter what they score on the EOC, they ain't going to pass this class. Okay? They're just not number that high. And then I've got people in the same boat that could not show up on the EOC day and still pass with flying colors because their quarter grades are that high. Okay? But it makes a big difference. Okay? So whenever y'all go to find your stuff out, just so you know, here's what your report card looks like. You'll have Q5, Q6, S1, Q7, Q8, S2, X1, and F1. That's the marks you'll have. Okay? The only ones you care about No, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at the one behind you that is not following rules right now. That's what I'm looking at. The only ones you care about are going to be S1, S2, and X1. Okay? The S1 is the average of your first 2 quarters. Okay? The S2 is the average of your second 2 quarters. They take these 2 and they add them up, and they do the mean of those, and they multiply that times 80%. And then they take what you go in your final, and they multiply that times 20%. They add those together, and that gives you your final mark. Okay, so in other words, if by exam time, if you've got an S1 score of a 70, an S2 score of a 50, okay, add those together, what do we get? 120, right? Divided by 2 is 60. So your average there will be 60. So you're going to multiply that times 0.80 plus 0.20 times your exam score, and you want to pass, right? Okay, what's 60 times 0.80? 48. Okay, subtract, so 0.20x would equal 12, right? So divide 12 by 0.20 for me. So you would have to make a 60 on your final exam just to pass.
What?
Okay?
You're dividing 20 and 12?
I'm dividing 0.20 and 12.
I was about to say.
There are 5.20 to 1, and 5 times 12 is 60. So that's how I got it. Okay? But this is the calculation you can do on your own whenever you get to that point. Okay? All right. Here's what I want from you. Right now, you've got 3 sets of data. Okay? Do them individually in the calculator. I want you to find the mean, the median, and the mode for each. Okay?
This will be on your calculator after.
Yes. Calculator active. All right, what'd you get for number 1? Mean, median, and mode?
5, 5, 5.
5, 5, 5, right?
I'm 5.
Am I looking at it?
I'm 5, 5, 5.
I did too.
Yeah, I did.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I was thinking of that one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the lower start with the second one for the mean.
54.
54, median, and mode.
I got 52. I got 52.
For what?
For me. But then because we were doing what I was doing, we were looking at the like times here, like I said.
When you type this in and hit enter, that very first number, the one that looks like this, that's your mean. The very top value. All right, what about the bottom one? 5 for the mean, 4 for the median, and 3 for the mode. Okay, so the calculator, like I said, the calculator does everything except for mode for you. Okay? All right. A frequency table. This thing needs to be aligned. Okay, a frequency table shows the frequency of events. Y'all, a lot of your ESE is going to be, can you read a chart? Okay? So, like in this situation, if I was to ask you, how many states scored between 520 and 540 in verbal? How many states scored between 520 and 540 in verbal? All right, look, right here. Talking about, first I'm talking about verbal, right? So we're in this column.
It was 16.
And then I said how many states scored between 520 and 540, right? So 520 and 540 is here. So where do those two colors overlap? 6. Okay? How many states score between 600 and 620 in math? 2. Right here. 600 and 620 and math. That intersects right there too. Okay? You've got to know how to read a chart. All right? And then all this does is it took this data right here and it made it into basically a bar chart, which is what we call a histogram. Okay? All right, so basically it took this and it said, okay, 480 to 500, this is the math, or the verbal ones, sorry. So 480 to 500 was 11. And then 500 to 520 was 10. And then this was 6. And this was 8. And this is 10. And this is 5. Okay? So it just took that data and put it in a bar chart instead of a table. Okay? So it just depends on, that's a 6. I don't know what that's the 4. Okay? All right? Skewed. Skewed goes whichever way the tail is. Okay? This one, the tail of this data comes down here on the right side. So this data is skewed to the right. Okay? Now, I want you to take a second and I want you to read these two questions over here and see if you can look at this bar chart and answer those two questions. All right, how many counties have populations above 150,000? 2, right? Started here. So that's 1, 2. All right, now the second one here is a little different, so I'm interested to see what you have. Okay, what percent of counties have a population less than 100,000? What do you think to do there? Okay, how many are less than 150,000? 11, right? 7 and 4. Okay, out of, and yes, you add all those numbers up, what does that get you? How many total are there? So that's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So what is 11 out of 16 as a percent?
69.
Okay, so it is 6875, so you're right, that is 69%. Okay? All right?
What?
Okay, again, we're just going to talk real quick about being skewed. Okay, most of the data for skewed distribution, the 3 metrics are marked differently. The most commonly reported typical value is the mean. Now, here's why I don't like the mean. Okay, if you have a kid in your class, right, that just does not do a quiz or a test at all, what is that? What are they going to receive on that test? A 0, right? So is that fair for me to count your class where you come into stuff called outliers. That is data that makes your data set extremely skewed one way or the other. Okay. For instance, if I was to sit a college math major in our class to take every test or quiz we took, most likely they're going to score a perfect score, right? But that is skewed data. That number is going to be not a true measurement. Okay. If most of the data on the left, large values on the right, the data set will be skewed to the right. The tail is on the right side and the tail is on the left side. Okay. So like right here, that's skewed to the right. This one's skewed to the left, and this one is normally distributed. Okay. All right. What's this one?
Right.
Right. What's this one? Left. This one. Left, and this one. Right. Okay. So that's all you're doing there. Pretty easy. Okay. It's just which side is the tail on. Okay. Okay. We're going to do the next couple of problems, and we're going to stop and go through your worksheet before you take your quiz today. Okay. This one right here is one of the most confusing problems that we do, and here's why. It says, in which group of students has a greater median height? All right. Well, median is the what? Middle, right? Median is the middle. Now, do you know what you know there are 4 values here that are between 120 and 130, but do you know what those values are? No. It could be 4 120s. It could be 4 130s. You don't know. Okay? But all of that is going to affect the mean less than it affects the median. All right? So pay attention. How many are here? 6. How about here? 8, 5, 4, and 1, right? Okay, let's do the same thing over here. It's going to be 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 7. Okay, so here's what I need you to do. I need you to add all those numbers up for me in both bar charts, in both histograms. Add all those numbers up for me. No. Okay, what you got on the first chart? 28? Okay, what's the middle of 28? 14. Okay, what you got on the other one?
31.
31, what's the middle of 31? 15.5? Okay, so what you're looking for here is you are looking for where is the 14th data point and where is the 15.5, where the 15th and 16th data point. Okay? So where in my list is the 14th? Okay, so in other words, if you have like a ton of numbers, okay, you would count over until you get to the 14th one. Okay, so what I'm saying here is when I start right here, after I get through the first set of the first interval, how many data points have I gone through? 4, right? Okay, when I get to here, how many data points have I gone through? 4 plus 6, which is 10. Okay, so 4, 10. When I get to here, it is 18. So 14, does 14 lie between 0 and 4? Between 4 and 10? Between 10 and 18? Yes. So my median would have been between 140 and 150, somewhere. I don't know what the number is, but I know it's somewhere in the 140 to 150 range. Okay, let's do the same thing on the other side. So we're again going to start at 0. This would be 2, right? How many is it to here? 5, 10, 16. So 15.5 is somewhere in here, right? So that's 150 to 160. So which one had a greater median height? Group B. 150 to 160 is bigger than 140 to 150. Okay? That's all you're doing there. They didn't ask you what is the median height. It said which one had a greater one. It's somewhere in the 150 to 160 range. Okay? Answer these 2 questions. This will be the last one we do for today, and then we'll do that worksheet. Okay? Answer these 2 questions. How do we tell how many employees are in the graph? You add up all the numbers, right? So that's going to be what? 9, 12, 11, 6, 6, and 2. So that's 21, 32, 44, 46. Okay? And what percentage of them were absent 6 to 8 days? So that's how many out of 46? 11 out of 46 gave you what? 24%. Good job. All right, let me see where we're at. We might. Okay, let's keep rolling for a second because there's not much left. Okay, how many people had heights between 159 and 169? Look up here. That's why I have this big smart board up here. For you to look, you can't see it on your paper.
I can't see either way.
159 to 169. That is right here. 7. Okay? So the answer to A is 7. Then it says how many people have heights less than 159.5? So less than 159.5 is from here on. So that would be 6 plus 9, which is 15. Okay? All you're doing is reading a chart and looking at what it says. That's all you're doing. Okay? All right, this one is very hard to see on your paper. Okay? Like it's a complete black blob on your paper, I think.
Yeah.
Okay? What percentage of the children were ages 8 to 10 years old? 8 to 10 starts here and goes to here. So that is 125, right? Sorry, 100 plus 25 is 125 out of how many? What's 125 plus 75? 200. What's 200 plus 50? So what is 125 out of 250? 50%. Good job. You even need to use a calculator. All right. And then the last one here, that's the same exact problem we've already done. Okay. And then we've got this one. This is what your EOC will do. Okay. We'll talk about this in a minute. But this is what your EOC will do. It's not going to physically ask you to draw a histogram because there's no way for them to check that. Okay. So they're going to give you a set of data and they're going to say, hey, what is the histogram that matches that data? Okay. So like for instance, between so you're looking at you would just go through and look at your numbers and see which one of these matches that set of data. I'm not going to do that right now so that we can finish our worksheet so we can take our quiz. But that's the type of question that will be on your EOC. Or stuff like this, which is actually asking questions about the histogram itself. Okay? All right, put that away.